So, I changed my channel's name. Yep, it's just Jay Slater now. I don't know whether or not the name will update by the time this video goes up, but it's coming. And I'll probably update the names of my social media pages once that happens. I decided my old name of JayTheMovieGuy was too generic. It turns out I'm not even the first channel to come up when I searched that name. Anyway, on to the video. The Wild Robot was written and directed by Chris Sanders, director of Lilo & Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Croods, based on the book by Peter Brown. It's about a worker robot who gets stranded in the middle of the forest and is basically forced to interact with the animals, including full-on raising an orphan duckling. This is a DreamWorks movie, and it just might be the best yet. It has an interesting story and is told with a lot of emotion. And it's also beautifully animated with a nice sense of humor. This feels like it could probably compete with Pixar at their peak. Does it have any downsides? I guess there's a montage at one point, and the song that plays, while not a bad song from what I remember, kind of pushes the scene into cheese territory. But really, that's just a very minor thing. In my last video, I said I don't really give out a lot of 5 stars. Well, this one's getting 5 stars. However, there's another thing about this movie that sucks for me. That it's amazing, but in a way that I don't really have much to say about it. Yeah, I can't really think of much else to say here. Just go see it. It's my new favorite movie of the year so far.
It's coming. Here it comes. It's intermission time. Time to visit our concession stand.
Oh, she's gonna shimmy till her daughters break. And all that
Chicago, starring Gwen Verdon, Cheetah Rivera, and Jerry Orbach. Directed by Bob Fosse. Now at the 46th Street Theater.
turtle.
And now, on with the show.
Joker, Folie, Deux is from director Todd Phillips, who also did Old School, The Hangover, and, of course, the original Joker. He also wrote the screenplay along with Scott Silver, who also worked on 8 Mile, The Fighter, and, of course, the original Joker. This one is about the Joker in Arkham, where he stands trial for the events of the last movie and starts to develop feelings for a certain woman by the name of Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga. Also, it's a musical. Okay, this video is probably going to be published under a title along the lines of the best and worst movie of the year. Yeah, that's only slightly clickbaity in the sense that it's technically true, as in both these movies are only the best and worst of what I've seen from this year so far, at the beginning of October. I haven't seen Madam Web, I haven't seen Borderlands, I haven't seen whatever else is probably worse than the new Joker, or what will come out that might be worse than it, but this is the worst 2024 movie that I've seen. It's not completely terrible. It starts out pretty good. It opens on a Looney Tunes style cartoon showing an extremely loose retelling of Arthur Fleck becoming the Joker, which was a nice touch, really showing the creativity on display throughout, which doesn't come together at the end. And yes, this movie does show creativity. If there's one thing I can give it credit for, it's the fact that it doesn't just copy the original. It's a little weird that it's a musical, but at least for the first 2/3, it seems to work pretty well. There was a time when the musical numbers in movies used to bother me, but in recent years they've kind of grown on me. And it sort of worked here. Feeling this is a sort of demented version of the classic movie musical, about people in love, except they're both terrible people and a lot of innocent people are probably going to suffer in the end. And the musical numbers are pretty good. The best ones involve fantasy sequences. They're more extravagant. The ones that happen in reality fit in with the dark world that they take place in, if you remember that from everyone else's standpoint it's just a couple of mentally ill people breaking into song. Like one of those music videos without music videos. I just know that once this movie hits digital, somebody's going to edit these numbers in a similar way to get the true experience of what's going on in these scenes. And with Lady Gaga singing, the songs sound good too. And she's also decent at acting as well, although she doesn't really do much here. Honestly, she doesn't even feel that much like Harley Quinn, and the vast majority of that is just from how she's written to not do much. She could go by pretty much any other name and nobody would draw the connection. They'd instead probably think, Harley Quinn is the better option for you. And Joaquin Phoenix returns to his Oscar-winning role. And he basically plays it pretty much the same way, so Oscar contender-ish. Also, the cinematography is great. Most of it is a courtroom drama, which a lot of people didn't like since a lot of it was just talking about things that happened in the original. But I'd say these are where the high points are. I know I also get bored when movies just keep repeating things we already know instead of moving the plot forward. But in this case, I liked seeing the full effects of his actions on the world around him. One of the best parts involved them bringing the little person from the original to the stand to testify. It turns out he's got some serious acting chops. It sucks that the Academy understandably probably won't consider a guy who appeared for one scene in a bad movie. The story, like the original, requires some suspension of disbelief, but it still works for this demented musical version thing that it seemed to be going for. Despite all the singing, this is still an extremely dark, gritty movie, a world where prison guards seem way more evil than the Joker himself. Speaking of the guards, let's get to that part. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen it or just know about it, since it's kind of an almost open secret type meme on Reddit, you know what I'm talking about. And that's pretty much the exact point when I turned against this movie. Why would you put that in? Like, even if it didn't send the whole plot downhill, this scene would still have made me dislike the whole movie. After this point, it just descends into pointless, mean-spirited nihilism, and it throws away a lot of the stuff that's set up, like the support he has from the prisoners, or, oh yeah, his relationship with Harley Quinn. That was pretty much the entire marketing for this movie. It all just built up to nothing. And the same goes for the musical tone. It disproved that they were going for the demented vision I was expecting, so now the musical numbers just clash with everything. Also, the ending just kind of comes out of nowhere. I'm okay with movies that don't give people the catharsis they want. I guess they were going for something where they remind us that there are no happy endings in this world, or maybe even to remind the people who like the original because they related to the Joker that they were never supposed to relate to him, but it just wasn't handled that well. After everything that the first 2/3 set up, this was just a cop-out. Honestly, the courtroom scenes did the Joker character assassination thing better. There is a way to continue the musical of him being an evil person who hurts people while letting people know that he's an evil person who hurts people without going into that direction. So yeah, this is a disappointment. Despite a somewhat promising start, it collapses in one instant once it's built up potential for a much better ending. It does something different at least. Not good, but different.